Many of you know their faces, but what do the board of directors actually do? Let's find out on this episode of SSF on Talk. Hi.
Hello, hello.
So, here with us, we have Jason Cormier, the chair of the board of directors. Hi,
Hello.
Jason.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so what do the board of directors do? What are you guys responsible for?
That's a great question, and it's a bit of a confusing question for most students. But to break it down, the board of directors is responsible for the highest level of decision making within the organization. We are unpaid, so we don't get compensated financially. However, because of that, we're able to make decisions about policies, operations, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and a wide variety of how the organization governs themselves. We're different from council and Talia's positions in the sense that her role is to advocate to Seneca, whereas our role is to govern Seneca Student Federation. So it's two different organizations, and we're responsible for ensuring that our organization operates in a fiscally responsible manner while promoting changes that better student life.
So, how do you guys make sure that, SSF is bringing value or the organization in general?
That is a good question. I think it really boils down to metrics and how many students use our services, and that's just my opinion. I would think that we're successful if we can make a difference in one student's life. If we can improve your experience on campus or off campus via a variety of our services, I think that's how we can measure success is by impacting student life. Now, how we go about doing that, we review a wide variety of operational policies, but there's a lot of reading involved. We really evaluate what we're currently doing. We look at what other colleges are doing and other student unions, and we try to meet them in the middle and see what we can improve. And that's how we go about making impacts.
So, if the board of directors didn't exist, what is the first thing that students would notice?
And they would notice a lack of voice on operational matters. If we didn't exist, decisions would be made by the full time staff who aren't currently students. And it would be more difficult for us to change their mind on a variety of issues. So, if, for example, let's say they don't want to have working hours after a certain time, or they don't want services available after a certain time, we as students would be having a bit more of a harder time in changing their mind, as opposed to having a board of directors in place who are students who can just go out and override those decisions as needed. Of course, we won't override everything, but ultimately, it really boils down to having those student-led voices and having those changes that impact students directly. Because the full-time staff members, the reality is that they're not currently students,
Right.
and so it's really difficult for them, in my opinion, to relate to how a student's life is on campus, having to juggle class and work and all of those other nuances. Whereas the board of directors, because we're all students, we can relate to that a bit more easier. And as a result, we can implement changes and maybe change our mind on certain topics when students are coming out to us.
I didn't even know all of that. So, tell me a bit about the achievements that the board of directors have made in the past several years.
Yeah. So this is my second term on the board as chairman. So I can comment on the achievements that we did last year. This year we're just starting out with a new team, so we haven't done anything major just yet, but things are being cooked. One thing that I'm really happy about is the introduction of the one card scanners. It's super important because of what we saw at the federal and the municipal level. They were trying to introduce a bill called Bill 33. When it was introduced, and it's not passed yet, it's being reworked, but they were trying to make it so students at colleges would have to opt in to student fees for SSF.
Okay.
And so we thought it was really important to identify who is paying this fee, not only to resolve some of our immediate concerns, particularly at the York campus, where non students from York University come and take advantage of our services for free. Like, why would they get it for free when you're paying for it? But it's really also to alleviate future concerns about if Bill 33 would be passed in its current form. How would we as an organization know that we're giving services to students who are opting in? And how do we incentivize students to opt in should that become a reality?
What about EDI?
So the EDI committee is fairly new. It was something that was birthed 2 boards ago. So the board before I had joined, not last year, but the year before that, that was the board who gave birth to the idea. The board before this board, the board that I'm coming from, was the first board that got to use it in its full capacity. A lot of good things that came from EDI, and again, for those who don't know, it's equity, diversity, and inclusion. Um, It was something that we were missing as an organization, so it made sense to have it implemented. The EDI committee is responsible for making sure that hiring practices are equitable, that we're hiring a diverse pool of talent. We make sure that everything that we do is done through an EDI lens. So we want to make sure that everyone feels included, gets a sense of belonging, and all of that good stuff. Some more less notable but still impactful were our changes to clubs. We reversed a previous decision that was made to have funds carry over between semesters. So if
Yeah.
you're a club, you can use your 1,000 up to $1,000 per semester, and any unspent money carries over to the next term within the fiscal year. So that's April to March. So that was changed to benefit clubs. A few other things were introducing the idea that clubs would lead cultural and religious events, as opposed to SSF, council, board. We can't cover every community out there.
Yeah.
So we came up with the idea that clubs are going to be the ones paving the way for these events, with financial backing from us, of course, without any additional expenses to them. So instead of us deciding, okay, we want to do this is how we're going to do it, we're going to hire this DJ, this performer, this type of food,
Yeah.
we're really giving it to student leaders to step up and then have them decide how the money is spent to represent their own culture.
That's really important. I definitely see that change. I've been here since what, 2024, and with the involvement of clubs, I've seen so much diversity on campus. Like, guys, no matter what group you're from, there is literally a place for you here at Seneca through clubs. So, why did you personally decide to run for chair and be a part of the board of directors in general?
Great question. So I started my own club in 2024, so in fall of 2024.
What was that?
It was a policy club. It's kind of boring. We just sit down, read policies, and explain policies to students, because we didn't think it made sense that students were expected to know all of these variety of rules, but no one's actually sitting down to talk to them about it. But what I will say is the reason that I joined the board is because I had the chance to read all of those policies. I noticed a lot of inconsistencies about what's on paper and what we're actually doing. And so I joined the board just to make sure that those policies are being upheld, because ultimately they are the wishes of previous students. And I want to make sure that those changes are reflected in today's operational and governance. And yeah, I think it's really important to have these changes to reflect the student body. And yeah, that's the main reason.
So, can you tell us a bit about how decisions are made in meetings? Like, what does a typical meeting look like for you guys that students may not know of?
Great question. So we actually do have a public meeting coming up on June 30th.
You heard that?
So email brenda.smith@senecapolytechnic.ca to join. So that's going to give you, the audience, a front row seat into what we're doing. But decisions are made by majority vote. So let's say that I'm the chair of the board. I would draft an agenda, meaning I would select topics to have discussions about. I would put it on the agenda, send it out to my fellow board members about a week in advance, give them time to gather information, and then we would go and discuss the matter. If a decision needs to be made, we would move for a vote, and then the majority who votes in favor or against determines the result. Right now we have 6 board members, so we need 4 of them to vote in favor of something for it to pass. So we need a majority. If it's tied 3-4-3 against, the motion is considered to have failed. So it's really important that we have board members who are engaged and aware of these issues, so that they can make an informed decision and an informed vote. But ultimately, to answer your question, we make decisions by majority.
So, why do you think it would be important for students to come to these board meetings that are, available for them?
That's a great question. Earlier, I mentioned that the board can hold members of its own organization accountable, but who holds the board accountable? Ultimately, the board reports to the student body. So if no one's holding us accountable to our own decisions, we can do virtually anything we want as long as it's within the boundaries of the law. But I think it's really important that students show up not only to ask us questions, but to make sure that we're making decisions that reflect in their own needs. So if you're a student who needs something to be changed and we don't know about it, it is your responsibility to let us know. And I'm a little blunt on that. If I don't know, I can't fix it. I would encourage any student who has any issues to come to our board meetings and let us know. We have a question period now going forward, a live question period. Before, it was just you would email us a question and we would email you back. But now you can ask us questions on the spot, hold us accountable to the decisions that we make, ask us questions about how we're spending your money, and really just get involved. It's a great way to get your name out there as well. It's really good for us to see you being engaged. But yeah, just show up and hold us accountable, ask us questions. I hope to also send out an agenda to all of our audience members as well, so they can know what business we're discussing and prepare questions that are relevant in advance.
So, how do you make sure that these responsibilities are being upheld, like behind the scenes?
That is a phenomenal question. So the board is responsible for the performance evaluation of both the president and the executive director. So we typically are supposed to be doing quarterly reviews for their performance to ensure that things are being met. And of course, we're students as well, so we go to our respective campuses. We have friends who go to other campuses, and we can ask questions like as a regular student if we see that something is not being done to our expectation. We would just either call the president, Talia in this case, or the executive director, Mario. Then if we don't think that that issue is being resolved to our satisfaction, that would come up in their performance review. It hasn't been the case, so you guys are doing a phenomenal job so far. Yeah.
Tell me what is something that surprised you in this role?
I am surprised that I am not paid. I mainly because of the complexity and the accountability aspect as well. But it's shocking to me that I take on so much responsibility for no financial gain. But I understand why that's the case. Because I have so much decision making power in my role, it wouldn't make sense for me to be able to make decisions about my own pay. And I'm okay with the idea of not getting paid in exchange for governance authority. Like, we have so much autonomy. We don't typically have a 9 to 5, so we're at our discretion. We can call meetings whenever we want. We don't have a fixed schedule, so that's nice. I don't have to wake up at 9 a.m. And get to campus like some people I know.
Right.
Yeah, we have a lot more autonomy. But that was something that was shocking to me, is that these positions are unpaid, and how different they are from other schools.
So, how does one become a board member? How do we get involved? Tell us about that.
That's a great question. I really hope a lot of students who watch this video want to get involved in these positions, because it is a phenomenal position. It's great for your resume, and it's really good to help your voice as a student be reflected in the organization. Typically, elections for these roles are in the month of March. Right now in the board, we have a vacancy. So we have 6 board members, but we have a 7th seat. So that would typically be held in the fall term. I think it's important to have a lot of students interested in this, and we can really expand our talent pool to make sure that we're getting not only the best candidate, but some new and fresh ideas coming into the position. So if you're interested in this position, elections will most likely be in the fall term. Keep an eye out.
We'll keep you updated.
Yeah. You need to have a GPA of 3.0 for both your current term and your overall program. You need to be in your 2nd semester. So if you're just joining us in the fall, you'll have to wait till March. And yeah,
Great power comes great responsibility.
with great responsibility comes great power.
Wait, did I say it wrong?
No, I said it wrong.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be getting it right.
Thank you so much, Jason. This was so informative, and I hope that you guys got a lot of value from this and you're encouraged to, be more involved. So, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.